Good evening, Simon here, Explosive Action. We are back and we are doing a CD update. Got a big pile of CDs here, about 6 or 8 weeks worth. Haven't done one of these in a little while, so we're going to go and check out the latest stuff that I picked up on the coaster format. Number one that we are listening to is the new one from the Inquisitor. This is Towards Our Impending Doom. Crushing, fast death metal. Absolutely leaves no survivors. I think this is their third album and an EP in there as well. I think I could be right on that. There's the band. And yeah, I discovered this band on their first EP way back 5-6 years ago, I think. And yeah, been following them ever since. Been really keen to see them get onto Dark Descent and just keep putting out the crushing death metal. So that's what we're listening to, The Inquisitor. Finally picked up another Dreams of Death and Dismay. This one I have been after for so many years. You know how you have those CDs that you think will be around forever? And you're like, oh, I'm missing that one. I'll get there eventually. And you never do. I've been wanting to pick this up for about 18 years, I think. This came out in like 01, something like that. And it just never happened. I've got the other 3 albums. Love this band. They're from Sweden. So I can tell you they're Swedish death metal and you're going to instantly have a thought, and they're not like that. They are not Dismember style. They are not In Flames style. These guys are very interesting technical death metal that's more like Japanese band Intestine Baalism. I reckon they're way more like that than other Swedish bands. And yeah, this is their second album. And I'm just happy to fill the gaps, finally have it. They don't do much, these guys. I think they're still around technically, but 4 albums in 20 years, and they've been around since mid-90s, and they do a few demos. It's not much output, so I would hope they do some more. Excellent band. Picked up Ectoplasma. This is Cavern of Foul Unbeings, their second album. Recently got into these guys. I picked up the first album I think a couple of updates ago. I picked up the first album, and it is just straight ahead death metal. They're from Greece. Don't sound particularly Greek. They just sound like early US death metal with a bit of just a touch of early Stockholm Swedish sound, but it's mainly just blunt force trauma, mid-paced death metal. Horror themed, as you can tell, and yeah, I think these guys are really good. There's one more album I think I need to get, their latest one, and yeah, I'd like to pick that one up, so totally worth picking this up. It's on the Memento Mori label. Should be really easy to get. It was very simple for me to find on Amazon, very cheap. Next one, got a bunch of Maggot Stomp releases here, and I know people have got their opinion. They're either super into Maggot Stomp or it's all knuckle dragging. I pretty much like most of the stuff they put out, and this is a fairly interesting one for them. This is Theatus, I think I'm saying it right, Shrines to Absurdity. So this is less knuckle dragging than their usual death metal bands, so this is, I guess it's sort of, how do I even put this, they're technical, but it's like Malignancy, first couple of albums, Malignancy, with some crazy extra over-the-top squeals and pitch harmonics, and changes the speed at the drop of a dime. It's really interesting stuff. It doesn't get too slammy. I don't usually like bands that just go all slam, palm muted stuff. And they're not like that. They have moments of it, but then it gets picked up with, you know, big epic guitar leads, and it's really, really interesting band for the label. It stands out, I think, amongst the rest of their roster. So definitely check out Theatus. If you've written off other Maggot Stomp band, you think they're all very similar. Well, I think you're wrong, but also these guys really prove that point. Yeah, interesting band photo there. So there you go, that's Theatus and Shrines to Absurdity. Very, very good. More Maggot Stomp. Just picking up a few that I missed. Maggot Stomp shipping to Australia use USPS, and they must use first class premium or something. It costs the same amount to get CDs as it shipped as it does the amount for the CDs, so got to make it worthwhile. And this is the awesome Malignant Altar reissue of their 3-track demo. This has got some of the best crushing guitar tone I've heard in years. The whole thing is just absolute driving force of formulas Fatal to the Flesh, Gateways of Annihilation, Morbid Angel, mixed with your usual Maggot Stomp chunky riff stuff. I think this is really one of their best bands on their roster, Malignant Altar. So this release gets you the first 3 tracks from the demo tape and 12-inch, which are long sold out, and then 2 extra tracks that I'm not sure if they're live or demo recordings. They're definitely one-take recordings, and they're very raw. And the last one is cover of Proclamation of the Wicked, which is so down-tuned and heavy and slow. It doesn't really match the first 3 tracks. They've got a more tighter sound. Malignant Altar, awesome stuff. I really like the old school CD there. It looks like, kind of reminds me of my old Injustice for All CD, to be honest. It's exactly the same as that. Yeah, definitely worth checking them out. Interesting thing about Maggot Stomp as well. Their demo, the tapes, people go nuts for the tapes, and they're gone in days. The LPs, they're gone in minutes. Their CDs hang around for months. This is probably a year old. I'm not sure, but definitely worth getting their stuff on CD. And they also put extra tracks on the CDs, which they don't do on the other formats. So definitely something to think about there. Vomit Forth. Whew, this is brutal as hell. This is your knuckle dragging right here. More Maggot Stomp. Very, very brutal death metal. This one is more like the typical Maggot Stomp sound. Gets quite slammy, which, as I said, not a big fan of. But these guys take that devourment sound and really, really do a great job with it. Yeah, 9 tracks. It's actually 2 EPs. I think it's a demo and an EP that's been reissued as a CD. But the sound quality between both, like, it just goes as one album. It may as well just be an album. So yeah, Vomit Forth, Northeastern Deprivation is the name of this release. Really recommend you check it out. Yeah, heavy as a boat full of fat people eating an all-you-can-eat buffet. I'll go with that. More Maggot Stomp, Church of Disgust. These guys are filth. Dirty, gross filth death metal. Another example where you get more tracks on the CD than the tape. So the tape you get 3 tracks. This one you get a bonus track, Imperious Mutilation, which I think is from a split 7-inch they did, I think, if I'm right, from a split. Consumed by Slow Putrefaction. Really good. Their previous album was really good. It's just, yeah, slimy, rotten death metal. No, nothing pretentious here. It's Church of Disgust. I love the green. Everything here is just green. Green background, green circle on the CD, green. That's a good colour for this. It's slimy, it's green. Recommended. Well, another one, Maggot Stomp. This is Disembowel with their debut album called Echoes of Terror. Really good old school vibe on this, like that cover art, even the text on the spine, the whole thing on the back there. It looks like an old monstrosity CD or something. This is straight up death metal. It's very riffy. It does change the pace a bit. It goes mid to fast pace, changing time signatures all over the shop. Very interesting tracks. I was trying to think who they sound like without just saying this is death metal. I reckon they sound like, there's a Finnish band called Nerlich or Nerlich. I reckon they're similar to that. That's the sound I get from them anyway. Really tasty stuff. What do we got on the side here? Collage, all the band stuff. Very cool. I like this in the snow in the Reeboks. That's great. They look very impressed to be doing it too. Yeah, this is just proper death metal. When someone says to you, I want to hear a death metal album, you reach for the Disembowel because it sounds like death metal in name and in music. Putrefied remains, immolation, sadistic pleasure, chuffed beyond recognition. That's pretty funny, actually. Disemboweled, echoes of terror, ascend to obscurity, ripping Christ from the cross, and overwhelming suicide. How could a suicide be anything but overwhelming? Is an underwhelming suicide? I'm going to check out some Dark Descent stuff now. This is Third Storm. Got to be probably the most underrated band, I think, on Dark Descent roster. I remember when this came out, and the label were really trying to push it, but I don't know. I don't think people were really paying attention to this, and they really should be. It's highly melodic, sort of Swedish black metal in the dissection style, but not in a rip-off like Tholkandra. It's got a whole chunk of Absu in it. It's a real interesting mix, I think, here, and Dark Descent are not known for their black metal, so I think it didn't quite resonate. I don't know. Nobody really talks about Third Storm. That's a real shame. Maybe the cover art is fairly different. Doesn't immediately scream what it is. I don't know. I definitely think it's full of lyrics, which is nice. I don't think people really give them the dues, and it's a shame. So that's Third Storm with the Grand Manifestation. I think it's their debut after demos and EPs and stuff. And highly recommended. So it does go at a fair pace. It's quite thin production. When I say it sounds Swedish black metal, I don't want you to instantly think this is a Marduk dissection clone. It's not. They've got their own style. And it's definitely worth your time. Third Storm with the Grand Manifestation on Dark Descent. This is another band that are on Dark Descent. I don't know how well this is going to come up. Glossy digipack. This is Nox Formulae, and the album is called. God, it's red on black. Man, Drakon Darshan Satan. There you go. Friggin' hard to read that. Red on black. Anyway. So another band that I know the label push, and not too sure how well it goes down with the predominantly death metal crowd of Dark Descent. But these guys are great. This is their second album, or at least their second album on Dark Descent. I'm not too sure before that. I've got the previous album. This is raging melodic black metal, really, really fast stuff. Think Sargeist. There's Dark Funeral in this, but it's not like Norse core. It's really talented, really, really furious, very evil sounding stuff. Yeah, that's about all I can say about it. Definitely need to check them out. Dark Descent are known for more than just death metal, and I hope more people check out the black metal bands on their roster. Nox Formulae. This is Hemotoxin, so we're taking a segue to what is it? Unspeakable Acts, sort of side related label from Dark Descent. This is Hemotoxin with Restructure the Molded Mind. These guys are very modern sounding, technical death thrash. Think death post-human, the later stuff. The stuff where the bass was really audible and twangy. That's Hemotoxin. Really angular riffing. That logo, I reckon that helps define it. Like, it's real sharp. The whole thing sounds really sharp. And the comparisons to later era death are not unwarranted. That's the best comparison, I think. But maybe more thrashy. A bit more thrashy than where death were going towards the end there. This is, I think, their second album, or at least the second that I've got. And it's got a bonus EP, the Alchemist EP. So you get 13 tracks on here. It's quite packed. And very simple, old school black and white background there. So there you go. That's Hemotoxin with Restructure the Molded Mind. Here's another good one. This has been getting a bit of love. This is Cemetery Filth with Dominion. Awesome artwork on that. I'm not too sure who's done that, but it's definitely got the old early 90s vibes to that. This is straight up death metal. Absolutely straight up death metal. Pure, unadulterated death metal. Their first album after a demo, I think it is. You can get it on LP and cassette and all the usuals, but I opted for the CD. And I don't know what to really say. This is the prime example of death metal. It's nothing that's going to rewrite the rule book or anything like that. It's a mix of all styles of US style, but a European style. It's not overly blast beaty. It's sort of mid to fast paced most of the time. Chugs a bit. It's all over the place. Just standard death metal by the numbers, and I think that's what you want from this kind of album. It's got the cover for it. It's got the logo for it. It's all green on the spine. It's just pure death metal. Cemetery Filth. Awesome. Awesome. Really, really enjoy it. Father Befouled. These guys are so good. This is a Justin Stubbs band. Best known for Encoffination. You must have all heard Father Befouled. This is their latest EP, Holy Rotten Blood. He's got the, the dark Incantation, Immolation, Funebrarum, those bands, and you get Father Befouled. I think that's perfectly acceptable comparisons there. So you get, what do we got here? 5 tracks. It's about 20 minutes long. More of the same, Father Befouled. Really good, really dark. He always produces good material. I've got all the Father Befouled at this point. I spend them all quite a bit. Can't overly distinguish the difference between the albums, but that doesn't particularly matter. Not for this kind of death metal. It's big, it's gloomy, it's a bit cavernous. Yeah, it's really good stuff. So Holy Rotten Blood, the latest EP. I know it's on 12" as well. I'm going to check out some thrash now. We got here Critical Defiance. Look at that awesome cover art. That's like, well, the whole thing looks and sounds like Carnivore. Like, that is such a Carnivore artwork. I think that's probably what they were going for. This thing is relentless. It is super fast. There's only one track where it drops down to, moderately fast. Otherwise, it's just thrash the whole time. Thrash, complete thrash. You're getting thrash. This is a thrash metal album. Doesn't try to be anything besides a thrash metal album. The logo should tell you that. You're getting thrash. And it's a lot of fun. It's quite exhausting. I'll give it that as well. It's the songs are, between 3 and 6 minutes long, and the vocals are quite sparring. Like, it is predominantly instrumental, and there's just ripping solos, and then we're just going to keep blasting, and it's super fast. Really good. It is obviously, it's a newer band. This is from like 2018 or 19, and it's going for the retro thrash sound, obviously. But this one, I think, is actually succeeding. The production definitely helps to make it sound like something from 1989. And the style of that thrash is exactly in line with that period. It's, think the like Beneath the Remains, Sepultura, but even faster. Think sort of the first few albums of German bands, and and these guys are from Chile. So that's it. Yeah, Critical Defiance, and Carnivore. Totally worth your time. Another thrash. This is In Culta, Norwegian thrash, and it's blackened thrash, but not like or noir Norwegian black thrash. It's just sort of tainted a little bit. It's still pretty just ripping thrash, nearly to the same speed as that the Critical Defiance. Tasty riffs, really good sound. This doesn't have the retro thrash feeling to it. It just feels like a thrash band, which is pretty refreshing. That it doesn't have that throwback sound. It's just a new band playing thrash. Yeah, totally awesome. This it's really cool. Fatal Visions. A little bit challenging to find, I think. I mean, I think I might have lucked out. Might be a limited run or something. Anyway, band photo in there. See how you go. It's worth picking up. And yeah, like I said, Norwegian thrash tinged with a bit of black metal, but not. I would not call it Black-thrash. So yeah, in Coulter. This is a strange one. This is a real strange one. Karoba. This is a Kiss in the Carnal Fields, recommended by Ben Brainsmasher a few months ago. Based on their recommendation, I found it on eBay and ordered it that afternoon from Canada. That was in May. It arrived last week. COVID, man, it's just ridiculous. 3 months. So yeah, this is Napalm Records original release, and it has that mid-90s Napalm record sound with the weirder bands, like what are they? Oh, what's that one called? The Visceral Invisceration, or what the hell it was? The Death Doom band with the gory carcass cover. It's got that weirdness going on. So like it starts off with a harpsichord and vocals, clean vocals that are out of like Wintersorg or something. It's got I reckon it's core. The core of the band sounds like North From Here sentence. That's what it sounds like to me. But the core is always got flourish on it. It's there's one song that ends like you're in a 1920s speakeasy and it's got a full piano, chink-a-doop-doop solo, that kind of just bottle smashing around kind of solo. What the hell is going on? Really, really, really weird avant-garde black death metal. It's not quite death, not quite black, it's just weird avant-garde metal. Vocals, yeah, they go between sort of raspy and this clean attempt at operatic. But you know, that kind of nice operatic attempt death metal vocals when they're not really in tune that much. You know, they're off a bit, but they're giving it a go because they're not opera singers. It's that kind of thing. I think this is going to take me quite a few listens to dig into. I got to the end of it and went, what the hell just happened? And that's not a bad thing. That's just, it's not an immediate album. This is one I've really got to spin a few times. And I'm looking forward to checking it out again. You got 10 tracks. Yeah, Kiss in the Carnal Fields. Napalm Records number 9. It's really early for them. And it's it's a little bit challenging to find. These guys changed their name. They became Karoba Kill. Not sure if they're still going or what the material after this sounds like, but yeah, it's very interesting, very avant-garde. So if you like it a bit weird, check them out. Blood of Christ, A Dream to Remember. So you look at that and you think this is going to be some kind of goth doom. Not really. It's pretty much just Canadian death metal from 1997. It's got a little bit of keys in it. It's got sort of very deep growl vocals. It's a bit kitchen sinky in the styles that they throw at it. It does get a bit gothic-y, but not to the point that I would put that on the cover. That guy's wearing an Adidas jumper, for Christ's sake. It's pretty good. It's not going to change the world or anything. Obviously it didn't. I don't think these guys did a great deal. Oh, check out those photos. They're epic. There you go. Blood of Christ. Oof. Particularly Jason there. He's got, I don't know what the hell jumper he's got on there. Anyway, it's pretty good. I didn't pay too much for it, actually. I paid $3 for it. What am I saying? A local guy had it for sale. I definitely got my $3 value. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. It's just, yeah, it's just what it is. It's sort of standard doomy-ish death metal, underproduced, bit of keys, bit of goth. Yeah, there you go, Blood of Christ. Shadow Dancers. So this is an EP that cost me all of $1, and it came in my order from Canada with the very strange Karoba. I always do that if I'm buying overseas and the shipping cost is X. If I add another CD and the shipping cost doesn't go up, I'm adding another CD because I'm in Australia and I've got to make it worthwhile. That's what my brain says anyway. So this is Shadow Dancers, and these guys, presumably at the time, really wished that they were My Dying Bride. They are trying very hard here. They're not really hitting the mark. giving it a red hot go. I think this is 5 tracks, maybe 4 tracks. It's a little bit sloppy. It's kind of quaint. It's definitely, yeah, just going for that early first EP, first album, My Dying Bride. So pretty much all I can say about it. Except that they've, you know, reversed the font there just to be clever. Licensed from Repulse Records, Spanish label, but this is through I can't read that. Abstract something. It's all in cursive, from Barcelona. Anyway, check it out. Shadow Dancers. What is the thing called? Warning Shadows something? I don't know. Just look for Shadow Dancers as one word on Discogs. And give it a listen. It's underwhelming, but it's all right. You know, not everything has to be spectacular, and I think it did its job. You know, this one makes me laugh. Calvary, and it's an EP called Across the River of Life. Can we just take a moment to look at that river? Does that look like a river full of life? Is that what they're trying to do here? Is that the joke? It's like a muddy slime hole. Like, if that is the river of life, you've got a shit life. There's nothing else to say about that. I got this run from my local seller. This is like $2 chuck in with some other stuff. It has that complete 90s look where they put gold text on gold background and you can't read a single word of it. Like the booklet. I can't read any of that. Look at that. Absolutely no hope. It's gold on like a shining sun or something. Like, you've got absolutely no hope. Anyway, Death Doom. Death Doom by the numbers. Mid-paced. Bit more death than the Doom. And yeah, deep vocals, underproduced again. And it's pretty decent. The label's from Italy. I'm not sure if the band is. Yeah, Flying on the Wings of Dreams. There you go. Is that even in plural? Across the River of Life, Across the River of Life, and on here it says Flying on the Wings of... I think it just says Dream. Dream is a singular. You get one dream to fly across in your river of slimy life. Anyway, there you go. Calvary, worth the $1 I paid. This was worth the money I paid. Armored Angel, Mysterium, essential Australian death thrash. It's not fast. It's not super brutal. Even saying thrash makes you think it's going to be super fast. Really, it's probably more just death metal, but Australia is good at having this stripped back death metal sound that I think Armored Angel kind of pioneered, where it's all fairly mid-paced in a bolt thrower sense, but without sounding like bolt thrower. And this is the original EP. I found this one online and paid a pretty small amount considering it's fairly rare. So, is this Warhead? No, it's not Warhead. The album came out on Warhead. Armored Angel is a total institution. So Angel of the Six Orders, the album, their one and only proper album. This is the EP that was just before it, and it's just as good. If you've only heard the album, pick up the EP. So your best bet is to get, there's a compilation, I think, of pretty much all the EPs. I think that's the Hymns of Hate compilation. Like 2 discs of everything else they've done. And if that's still available, then I recommend you pick it up, because Armored Angel rule. Awesome band. Bit of Malignancy. This one I got very cheap. The Ignorance is Bliss compilation of demos, promos and things. Essentially this is the demos before the debut album, In Trotter Eye and Cannibalism. Yeah, this kind of ultra brutal death metal is not featured heavily in my collection, but Malignancy just do it right for me. They've just got enough technicality. They're not... So the bands that are like Devourment and their clones are the ones that I'm not that interested in, but Malignancy always grabbed me, at least with that debut album. So I should get Motivated by Hunger, because I've never heard it, but this is the collection, as I said, of demos and EP, promo CD. So the Ignorance is Bliss demo, promo CD from 1998, and the Eaten Out From Within, 1993, probably demo as well. So nice mix there of early material from Malignancy. Good band. Disaster, not disaster, but disaster. German, Black-thrash, Tyrants of the Netherworld. This one's really good. I can't recall the name of the one before it, but I showed that in my last update. And I was saying on that particular album that it was not quite comical, but it was going down that nocturnal breed, sort of eerie Black-thrash. This one doesn't. This one, maybe they decided to stop doing that. This one's just, we're evil Black-thrash. It's very good. Disaster always bring it. They've got so many albums, but definitely the early ones up to this one is the discography that I enjoy the most from them. Not sure what year this is. It'll be like 2001 or something like that. 2000 it says, so yeah, pretty close. Definitely worth checking out. If you've not heard any Disaster, this is a good one to start with. And then, yeah, work your way backwards, I think. Their first album is excellent as well. Tyrants of the Netherworld. I showed this one as a CD I was listening to in my Man Cave tour. General Surgery and the County Medical Examiner's split album. Pretty hard to actually find this now. Split gore grind. General Surgery have been around since the 90s. County Medical Examiners are a modern band. And yeah, you get 7 or 8 tracks each band, and early Razorback Records release. So if you like it gory, you like it short and sweet, you like complete and utter carcass worship, symphonies and reek worship, check out this split. General Surgery are the more interesting of the bands, but I think County Medical Examiners are up there in the way that Thulcandra is an obvious rip-off of Dissection and Grotesque is of Death. County Medical Examiners may as well just call themselves Carcass Light. There are entire riffs that are lifted and then like one note changed. And they make this whole deal about having an actual doctor that's like, you know, he's 65 years old or something playing bass. That was their big deal that got them promotion, which is kind of interesting. So there you go, General Surgery and County Medical Examiners, a nice split. Next one we got is, very happy to get this one, Vomitory, Raped by an Angel, OG Press, this one. Very lucky to get this one, was on Facebook group. What's the label? Fadeless Records, I think that's right. Everyone knows Vomitory. This is a Swedish death metal from about, what, 97 or something like that. Is that written on here? Don't know. All that's written on here, it says, fuck you. Oh, excuse me for asking. Anyway, yeah, Vomitory. This album is essential. It is just proper Swedish death metal. It doesn't have those melodic-y hooks like Entombed. It's not HM2 worship. It's Vomitory. Just pretty relentless, pretty brutal for the Swedish scene when compared to the other bands. Not too sure who to compare them to. They're more of a band you compare others to, Vomitory. I haven't hugely rated their entire discography, but this first one is completely essential, I think. If you're a fan of 90s death metal, of the European style, then this is what you want to check out. I guess it'd be more like saying Seance, you know, a band like Seance rather than, you know, Entombed. There's probably a better example for where Vomitory is going with their sound. I love that cover too. But yeah, not too sure exactly what year it is, but it's definitely mid to late 90s, so there you go. Vomitory with Raped in Their Own Blood. Did I say by an angel before? I don't know. It's been a long week. Anal Nathrak, Deseratum. Anal Nathrak is one of those bands that I tripped over back in their demo days. They started as like an online band. I just remember them coming out of nowhere. They're just being, you know, a website, and you can download some tracks and check out this band. Not too sure how I found it. It's probably just word of mouth. You know, a good 20 years ago. And one of the tracks was called. Of course, I've now completely forgotten what that track was called. Pandemonic Hyperblast. That thing was like the fastest black metal I'd ever heard, and it wasn't just black metal, it was black grind, and the vocals were screeching out there, and I was hooked. very happy that they then released a full-length album, the Codex Necro. And up until now, that's the only album I've got. I kind of stopped with them. I don't know why. I just didn't go any further. And I listened to some more stuff, and it sounds good. But this is the one that really made me come back and listen to them again, which is interesting because it's the one that doesn't sound like Pandemonic Hyperblast. And I know most people don't seem to like this one, Deseratum, because it starts off with, you know, almost like a blackened metalcore riff, and it only has like 4 whole bars of like you know, electronic dubstep. Only like 4 bars, but that was enough to piss off the entire Anal Nathrak community, I think. Yeah, I'm sure you've all heard this band. They've got, you know, it's like 7 or 8 string, I don't really know. Super low tuned, high gain, genty guitar, but played super fast with black grind. This album's got a bit more depth in the speed. It gets a bit more. There's a bit more electronic pieces to enhance it. There's a bit more industrial sound to it, and yeah, I suppose there's more of a core feeling going on, which is why, you know, some of the purists of the band didn't like it. And normally, you say metalcore to me, and I'm not interested, but it's not metalcore. It's black grind. It just has some bounce to it. The reason I think I really like this one, and it's a stupid reason, the 4th track, The One Thing Needful, it opens with this awesome riff, stops, and then it has a Basil Fawlty quote from Fawlty Towers. I just find that incredibly amusing, and having John Cleese on a black grind album, I just found that amazing. So anyway, this is the one I like from them. Not the one that everyone else likes, but I really enjoy it. Deseratum. Finally picked it up. This is the new one from Ulcerate. What's it called? Stare into Death and Be Still. I hadn't even looked at the title of this. Actually, this is the first time I looked at the title. I just saw it coming, and my friend that runs Seance Records was getting them in us and said, I'm getting the new Ulcerate. Yeah, I'll have a new Ulcerate. I have a new Ulcerate. And now I've run out of music to put in the background. Let's just go back a bit. Yeah, I've got some music again. Anyway, so the new Ulcerate, it's not dissimilar from the previous 2 or so albums. I assume people have heard Ulcerate at this point. New Zealand band. To say that they're progressive technical death metal doesn't do it any justice. It's a suffocating sound. It's just all-encompassing. Completely a drums-led band. This would be one of those bands, if they switched out drummers, you'd not be able to notice them as Ulcerate anymore, I think. That's completely what this band is. So, yeah, this is just more of the same from them. You can't really discern songs with these guys. The whole thing is like a big journey. I've seen them live. That was experience. I've seen them twice live, actually. And they're one of those bands that you know the drummer's going to be good because on stage he's wearing headphones. Whenever a drummer's wearing headphones on stage, you are in for a good time. He is so fast, he is technical, he is obviously trained in multiple styles and applies it to this. The vocals are sort of booming and growly, and you can't discern them, but it's not ultra death metal. Like it's a very modern sound for the vocals that a lot of the more newer bands would do, that non-death metal fans would like, I suppose. Yeah, this is a really, really good album, but so are their previous 2. And yeah, so reminding myself yet again, Stare into Death and Be Still, the new one from Ulcerate. Awesome. New one from And Oceans. Not something I thought I'd be saying anytime soon. Cosmic World Mother. Really nice artwork, and the whole composition here. Really good. So, the first 2 albums from this band, Dynamic Gallery of Thoughts and was it the Circle of I, the Symmetry of O, or something like that. I'm sure I got that the opposite way around. Are excellent, interesting melodic black metal albums with a bit of keyboards, and I think the keyboard made them, that was sort of their sound, and they Finnish or Swedish? I think they Finnish. Anyway, they had a very distinct sound back in the late 90s, and then they jumped on the cyber train and they did Avant-garde, and it was this industrial black metal thing. It was all right, but it wasn't the same band. And then they did another album after that called, I think, Cypher, and it was these ones, and I just, as far as I knew, that was the end of the band. I don't know. Then they came out this year with this one, 2020 Season of Mist. It's not like those last albums. It's not like the first albums. This is a new iteration of Oceans. They've got the old logo back. At times the keyboards feel like the first two albums, but they've got a different vocalist, and it's more a bigger, fast black metal with the heaviness of death metal sound. Some of those bands like Aclius, Nightbringer, those bands is more in style with this version of Oceans, I think. It's really good, but just don't, if you're a fan of the first two albums, then give it a try, but don't expect the first two albums. If you're a fan of the albums after it, not sure if you would like this at all. It doesn't have that cyber quality, at least to my ears. So anyway, that's the new Oceans, Cosmic World Mother. Very good. And the next one, almost at the end, Amputation. This is Slaughtered in the Arms of God. This is pre-Immortal. You can see there. Just kids. Yeah, so before they were Immortal, I'll read it from the front here. Amputation was Norwegian death thrash band featuring Demonaz of Immortal, as well as Jean from Hades. So 1989, 1990 material when they were just kids. And it's got they got two sounds. The first two tracks, I think it's just the first two, sound like sort of early Finnish death metal. That's what it sounds like to me. It's a real thick sound. Actually, it sounds a bit like Dark Throne's Soulside Journey. That's probably a better description. The rest of it, though, which is the bulk of it, sounds like really immature, Morbid Visions, Bestial Devastation worship, early Brazilian thrash, black thrash worship. It's a lot of fun. The production on the later tracks is pretty terrible. But I had a lot of fun listening to this. It doesn't sound a thing like Immortal. Though the first two tracks, the more deathier tracks, there's a little bit of diabolical full moon mysticism, I suppose, in there. That's probably me just looking for it. But yeah, nice little release. It's on LP as well. It comes from Nuclear War Now. And yeah, definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of any of those bands I mentioned, and just like checking out old demos of where bands that you do know, where they started. Amputation. And the last one we've got, saving the best for last, Lunar Aurora, Paysage de Verre, A5 Digibook split CD release. This thing is awesome. I'll try and say the names, I'm going to get it wrong. Lunar Aurora, A Hodija Flog, and Paysage de Verre, Eschwaza, Foyce, and Schwaza Isa. I don't know why I even tried. I have no idea why I tried. Anyway, what you get, Lunar Aurora CD, a Paysage CD, and each band gets sort of half book for lyrics and photos, mainly photos, song titles and stuff. Flip it over, Lunar Aurora's side, photos and things. Nice sort of script writing there. Band. It's a very nice presentation. So musically, this is a 2004 release that's been reissued on CD. So originally it was an LP. Lunar Aurora had 2 tracks, and Paysage had 1 track, which is a lot for them because it's like 18 minutes long, or for him really. Anyway, so this reissue on CD has the 2 tracks from Lunar Aurora, followed by their first 2 demos, which are very hard to get hold of. So that's a really nice CD of theirs. 2 tracks and then 2 demos. And the Paysage has the one track, which is about 20 minutes, followed by 2 demos as well, which are 18 minutes long each in one track, because that's Paysage. So you get a lot of material. This is a new release, 2020 release of the 2004 album, or split album. And you get more material than you do on the LP. The original LPs, I've seen one of Discogs before, someone's asking $800 for the original LP, and you get less material than you do on here. So this is definitely an instance of where CD is better, and the Digipack is beautiful. Really love these A5 things. I've got a handful of them, so yeah, and I'm really happy to get more Paysage, band that I'm slowly picking up more and more material from, a band that I really slept on all these years. Big fan of Dark Space, and I didn't even realise that the member of Paysage, Winter, I think is how you say his name, is in Dark Space, and Paysage predates Dark Space by many years. His first stuff was in the late 90s, so very much becoming a big fan of that act, and Luna Aurora I've been a big fan of for years, so this is a great release. And that is the end of the update. That's almost half an hour, probably longer. Thanks for sticking with me. Hope you enjoyed the CDs, and see